Hey everybody, just thought I'd share a little bit of what I've been up to up here during the quarantine lockdown. I'm too young to stop working, but too old to leave the compound. So what I've been doing is building this structure, which is a fairly large greenhouse built to last. This is the plastic that I'm covering it with. I'll only be doing the roof for the summer, and maybe for the winter I'll put this extra plastic right here on the sides. You can see it's really tough stuff. It's got nylon string embedded in the plastic, and there's no way that's going to tear even in large winds. And it's designed for greenhouses to allow about 80% of the sun to get through, which is the same as a shade cloth. It blocks out about 20%, and it'll drop the temperature a little bit also. But here's what I've been doing. As you can see by the other photos in this post, I started with just basically a channel between my steel container over here and this other building that I actually lived in for 5 years before I got my house built right over here. About a year and a half ago, I finished the house. And since this is A2 zoned, that means I can have light agriculture. There's many things you can do with A2. So I built this to cover not having to buy so many vegetables, since I pretty much switched from meat proteins to juicing a lot of stuff and eating the good stuff, the vegetables, the greens. Out here we have a lot of varmints that will get in here and destroy the crops, so I've covered it with, as you can see, this 1/2-inch screen all the way to the ground along the bottom. They'll dig underneath right there at the edge, even though it's solid rock. The squirrels out here, they just have this ability to dig holes through anything. And the door is made of PVC, so it'll weather real well in the winter months. And the wood is treated with a chemical. So I designed the beds with the galvanized steel so that none of the soil and water will soak off the wood, which is probably toxic, with the brown stain they put on it to help it stand harsh weather. And as you can see, I have a screen on the ground down the middle here between these two buildings, because what the squirrels will do, they'll go up to the edge and they'll try to dig, and they'll go through, I'll be putting gravel over this 3/4 rock, and they have a hard time getting through that rock. Pea gravel not so much, which is what you see here. They'll dig through that, but 3/4 rock, they don't like this stuff. And I'll be filling this with a few inches of rock. But if they do decide to go through the rock, they're going to get down to that screen and they're just going to give up. They don't necessarily back up when they dig. They go left and right and to see if they can find the end. And then if they just backed up and went under the screen, they could probably find their way in. But this is about 39 feet long. This bed is about 2.5 feet. And then I have an aisle through the middle that I can run my wheelbarrows in and walk around them without being blocked. So this has spring-loaded hinges on these doors. These hinges they have springs in them that'll shut the door behind me. And so what I'll probably do is put a layer of about 3 feet of plastic along this wall to protect the soil from this blue paint that's on this container that may contain lead. I don't know. But just to play it safe, I'll put a 3-foot strip of plastic along the wall. I'll be putting about 4 inches of 3/4 rock in the bottom, so the squirrels and rats or whatever can't dig up. They can come in from underneath this container, which I'll show you up here in a second or two, where they're already doing it. You can see right up here this hole down there where they'll tunnel their way in right under there. As you can see, they've already made a hole there since I've been doing this. And but once they put the rock in, they won't be able to get up underneath there. So I'm not going to put wire in the bottom. But you can see I have chicken wire on the roof and 1/2-inch wire on the walls to keep the mice, which probably won't climb all the way to the roof and chew their way through the plastic that's on the top and then make their way in through the chicken wire. Only the rats will probably get that high. Although mice will do their best to try to get in here. Not even the lizards can get in though. So I have a door at each end. And this end I have not, as you can see, put the wire in yet, because I'll be putting a pile of rock right here at the back that I can remove this piece of wood, and I'll be able to just roll the gravel in a wheelbarrow and start dumping it at that end and make my way back this way and fill it up. And once I get the soil in, which I will also dump back here in a big giant pile, I'll be rolling that in one wheelbarrow at a time also. As you can see, I have an old pile of pea gravel over there from when I first moved in to cover some spots on the ground, just so you have a nice clean place to stand or put a table or drive my truck across and park and get out and not be in wet soil in the winter. So anyway, the container is 9 feet tall, and so it's 9 feet on that side, and it's only about 7 feet on this side. And I ran a plumb line along that side of the wall, so it's level all the way down that side, but from that end of the greenhouse to this end, it's downhill. So basically, moisture will run this way if it doesn't get a chance to soak in. But it probably will soak in because I'll be watering so slow through the soil. Then it'll drain through the rock. And as you can see, it's nice, clean metal that all the soil will be up against instead of touching the wood that may draw out whatever this brown dye is in the wood to make it last longer outdoors. But I'll be able to put up netting between these 2x4s so that things can crawl up, you know, and be trellised for berries or peas or whatever, climbing things, cucumbers. You can actually make squash go up a wall if you train it. And this side is the big bed where I'll probably have, you know, more bedded crops like carrots and greens and stuff like that. The sun comes up on the other side of this, so this is the cool side in the morning. Then as the sun gets up, it hits this side on the left. And I'm facing north right now. So as the sun starts to go over this way, this side gets shaded over here once it gets beyond this building, and this side lights up for the late afternoon, evening sun on this side. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. And this is, I got the plastic up on the roof yesterday and the day before. Wind was blowing a little. So up on top, I've got strips of PVC, which I'll show you from the other end. But this is it. This is where all the veggies are coming from. So all organic. Here we're gonna climb this little ladder here and I'll show you what the roof is, how it's configured. So instead of nailing down through the plastic, you put these strips down, and the friction of the strip laying down on the plastic helps hold it down in the wind rather than punch a bunch of holes in the roof. And these little plastic washers hold it down with a little extra pressure. They're only 1-inch nails. They'll pop out easy if I ever need to replace it. Some of these strips I bought at Lowe's, and they were brittle and snap and break. And the ones that I bought at Home Depot are more flexible and harder to cut, and they don't break as easy. But as you can see, it's pretty much done. Not sure about that rippled effect up here at the top, but I may have to replace the PVC strips in a couple of years, because it may not have been the best choice. Something a little heavier like redwood lath or something like that might be a better solution. So anyway, that's what it looks like up here at Bev's Bluff. That's the Red Rover Mine hill over there, looking towards Palmdale. And this is Bev's Bluff, named after the old lady, Bev, who was my neighbor for quite a few years. And that's towards Santa Clarita. Palmdale's just over that hill right there, towards Lancaster. So anyway, hope you dig it. If you run out of veggies, give me a call. Okie doke. From up here at Bev's Bluff, I am signing out.